for Justin Bieber to play at the Royal Festival Hall. And judging by most of your reactions, well, it can't come soon enough, can it? This bridge ahead of us here, this is Waterloo Bridge, the longest bridge on the River Thames. It stands at 1/4 of a mile long, and it is faced in Portland stone. This stone is self-cleansing. It comes from Dorset. Now when it rains in London, it will get a little wash. If you look underneath as we pass, you'll notice it's very dirty. But either side where the water penetrates, it has a nice clean look. Very famous, the Portland stone. Now just over here to your left hand side, you can see some boats tied up alongside a pier. Well, at the end of the pier, ladies and gents, there is a vessel with a black roof. This is the St. Catherine. This used to be the royal barge. When the royal family came onto the River Thames, they would have went aboard the St. Catherine. They now have a new royal barge. It's known as the Gloriana. It's hand painted, it's a gold vessel, and it is kept at St. Catherine's Dock. If you're coming to Greenwich with us today, we're going to go past the dock where we keep the Gloriana. Now just over here to your right hand side, this area on the right there underneath the trees, this is the south bank of the Thames. Folks, if you are looking for something to do later on, I highly recommend visiting the south bank. There is a pathway on the shore there. It goes from the London Eye down to Tower Bridge, and as you walk on the pathway, lovely pubs, restaurants and bars, traditional markets and street performers. Well worth a visit, the South Bank. You look on the right hand side as well, you're going to see something which you probably thought you'd never see in London today. There is a gorgeous, golden, tropical, sandy beach. Now, who would have thought London has the finest beaches in the world? On a summer's day, the beach on the right, it is absolutely packed. The adults, they build sandcastles, they sunbathe, and the children, just as they are now, they like to run down to the polluted water and they pick up objects such as tyres and broken bowls. They call it in London a traditional family day out. So take your kids on the beach. Just over here to your left, the green slanted roof, the old city, London School for Boys. This is where most of our statesmen and prime ministers, they were educated before going to Oxford or to Cambridge. Great shame these days that that is no longer a school. This is now an American bank. J.P. Morgan, they own that building there to the left. You look up to the right now, the shiny building is coming into view. This is number 1 Blackfriars. Now number 1 Blackfriars was finished a couple of years ago now, and within that building you've got luxury apartments. Those apartments, they start at £7 million. They go up to £40 million. That's all within the shiny building. Now we're just going to go through the bridges now. These are the lowest bridges we go underneath today. They're also the closest on the Thames. Now at the moment, ladies and gents, the tide is coming out of London. We are on the ebb tide. That means the water is draining out of London. It takes 7 hours for the water to leave London and it returns to the North Sea. Once it gets to the North Sea, it's then going to come back into London on the flood tide. If you come onto the river later on this afternoon, all the boats that you see, they will be 7 meters higher, because that's how much the tide, it goes up and down on the River Thames. Now just over there to the right, the concrete building with the tall chimney on it. This is the old Bankside Power Station. The old power station was opened in the 50s by Queen Elizabeth II. She reopened it in the year 2002 for the Tate Modern Arts Gallery. Now that building on the right there, it is free to go inside. It doesn't cost you a penny. Now I can assure you, once you enter that building, you have a good look around, you're probably going to start to realise why it's free to go inside. Now if you like modern arts, you will have the time of your life, but if you don't like it, I highly recommend visiting St Paul's Cathedral up to the left. Now St Paul's Cathedral, it is known as Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece. It took Sir Christopher Wren 35 years to build, 11 years to construct the dome, and this cathedral in the 15th century, it cost £75,000 to build. If you go to that cathedral tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, they have a service. Now to watch the service, it is a fantastic experience, and you'll be pleased to know, free of charge to watch the service. Now because it is free, what they ask you to do, as they do in all the churches around the world, they ask you to make a donation. Once the service has finished, you're going to see a gentleman walking around the church with a silver champagne ice bucket. And if you enjoyed the service, you can throw some money into the bucket. It's very quiet inside, so they let you know they prefer the silent collection. 5, 10, 20, £50 notes. An old tradition at St Paul's. Now as we go through the bridges, if you look over here on the right in the corner there, there's a lovely old pub coming into view. This is the Anchor Tavern at Bankside. This pub was founded in 1615. It's over 400 years old. This pub is mentioned in Samuel Pepys's diaries, and they've made some films in there before, Getting Him to the Greek, Mission Impossible. They were filmed in the pub. Very famous, the Anchor Tavern. Over there to the right, there is a pirate ship coming into view. This is Sir Francis Drake's Golden Hind. Sir Francis Drake was the first Englishman to sail a boat around the world. This one that you see on the right in the St Mary and Overy dock, it is in fully working order. This has been sailed twice around the world. Golden Hind, there to the right. Is there any Americans on the boat? Anyone from the States? A few of you. Well, you might be familiar with this bridge ahead of us here.
Do you want to take them downstairs or something? Take them downstairs or something? Just so they can calm down a bit? Because like, you're distracting them. Go downstairs, it's a lot quieter downstairs. You can run right at them.
Now this is London Bridge here. It's the 5th London Bridge to stand here over 2,000 years. The bridge before this, the 4th one, it was sinking into the Thames mud. They took it down bit by bit and stone by stone, and they sold it to an American man, Robert McCullough. Now what he done with the bridge is he took it over to the States. He had it rebuilt over Lake Havasu in Arizona. The old London Bridge is in the States. Look up to the right now, the tallest building in Western Europe. This is the Shard of Glass. It's over 1,000 feet tall. It was designed by Renzo Piano. That was put there for the year 2012, the same year we hosted the Olympic Games. If you go into the Shard, there's quite a few things to do. You got restaurants and bars, a 5-star Shangri-La hotel, and on the 72nd floor, there is a viewing platform. From the viewing platform, you can see 40 miles in all directions. The Shard of Glass is up to the right. You've also got another viewing platform up to the left there. The building looks like a walkie-talkie. 20 Fenchurch Street. That is where you find the Sky Garden. If you want to visit the Sky Garden, they have a website. The website is skygarden.london. You can book your place on there. If you have identification with you today, there may be a slot available. You can visit the Sky Garden completely free of charge up to the left. You can see there's two ships on the right hand side here. We got the Belfast on the inside there. The Belfast has the flag at the front. And that flag that you see, this is a Union Jack flag. The only Union Jack you're gonna see today. Now to become a Union Jack, it has to be flown from a wooden jack staff with a crown on the top. If you see the flag anywhere else today, it is called a Union flag. The other vessel next to the Belfast is the Galaxy. It came into London this morning. It is a hydrographic vessel. It provides all the buoyage system, not only at sea, but on the River Thames as well. If you go further down the river towards the estuary, that's where you get your buoyage system. They put it in the river, that's the vessel on the right hand side. Now there's our stop here to the left hand side. There is Tower Pier. Now ladies and gents, we're meant to take you into the pier and end the tour. But we're very nice on this boat. So I know a lot of people have travelled a long way to see one attraction in London. And that is the bridge ahead of us. So what we're gonna do for you, we're gonna take you down to the bridge. We'll turn the boat sideways for you and we'll get you a lovely photo of the bridge. Now as we head down there, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about it. This bridge was finished in 1894. It was designed by Sir John Wolfe Barry. This bridge, it has 3 sections on it. We got suspension either side. We've got a glass floor at the top. The most important part is the middle. They are known as the bascule sections. They open at a 90-degree angle. They take just under a minute to fully open. Would anyone like to see the bridge open up today? Quite a few. Well folks, if you go to YouTube, typing Tower Bridge opening, there are thousands of videos on YouTube. But even better than that, ladies and gents, if you come back to this area at 7 p.m. this evening, the Dixie Queen is coming into London, a charter boat. She's a very tall vessel. The bridge will open up 7 p.m. this evening. If you look at the bridge, you'll notice it is built in the Gothic style. If you removed all the stones off Tower Bridge, it's going to work normal. The reason it has the decoration to it is so that it blends in with its very close neighbour, which is the Tower of London. Now you're going to see the Tower of London. It's in the corner on the right hand side. Is anyone going to the Tower of London today? Has anyone been there before? Does anyone care about the Tower of London? I hope you do, because that castle over there is London's most historic building. There's over 1,000 years of history within the building, and it was built for William the Conqueror back in 1078. It has been a few things in its time, but it is most famously known as a place of execution and torture. Now ladies and gents, if you were found guilty of treason years ago, you were taken in through Traitors' Gate on the River Wall, you were taken up to Tower Hill, and your head, it would have been chopped off. Now once they chopped your head off, they dipped it in a barrel of tar, they put it on a spike, they placed it on London Bridge to warn off any wannabe traitors. Now unfortunately, we don't have these punishments in London these days. We got far better ones now. We now have a thing called community service and rehabilitation centres. We now send them to holiday camp. They get 3 meals a day, they get a PlayStation, they come out a new person. much better ways of dealing with the traitors today. Folks, we're going to take you into the stop now. If you could all be so kind just to remain seated as we go in. There's always a chance we have a little bump. We don't want anyone getting hurt. If you stay on the boat, we're going to go through Tower Bridge. We are going to Greenwich. If you've got a bus ticket, your journey ends here. The buses, they're at the top of the hill. Make sure you got all your belongings when we come alongside. And most importantly, do make sure you listen to this. Please remember to take your children. Because it is shocking how many people, they leave their children on these boats every single day. I have 10 children at home now, and not one of them speaks a word of English. So make sure you got all your children. Last of all, ladies and gents, it is just one word about the commentary. I really hope that you enjoyed the commentary coming down the river today. We're not professionals on these boats, as I mentioned. We are crew members. We don't charge you on your tickets for a commentary because some of you may have not understood a single word which I have said. So to charge you for a commentary, it wouldn't be very fair. What we do on these boats, myself and my friend driving the boat, we take it in turns throughout the day. We tell you about the sights of London. We don't have to give you a commentary. It is a voluntary part of the tour. We don't get trained to do this. We're not even paid to do it. As I say, it is a voluntary part. So folks, if you did enjoy the tour and you feel as though the commentary added to it, a very old tradition on the River Thames is the captain's silver champagne tip bucket. Now it looks like this. It's going to be on the exit gate as you leave. If you did enjoy the commentary, you can throw whatever you like into our tip bucket. We do accept contactless payments. We do accept all major credit and debit cards. Of course, the silent donation, we definitely take that, which is your 5, 10, 20, 50-pound notes. American dollars, euros, you name it, we take the lot. Anything that you put into the tip bucket today, it will not be wasted. We finish work this evening at 9 p.m. Once we finish work, we are going to the pub. And it's at the pub every single night that we carry out research for these commentaries we provide you all. So I can assure you, it won't be wasted. You've been a lovely audience to speak to. Have a great time in London. Have a safe onward journey. And whatever you're doing, go and enjoy yourself. Thanks very much. Goodbye to you all. Thank you.
Roadway ready. I've always said probably the best time to be up there is when the bridge is lifting. Could you imagine that? You're up there, the roadway would lift beneath your feet and a boat would pass underneath your legs. So I've never got round to doing it myself, but you can find out online. If you just search Tower Bridge lift times, that'll take you to their website and that'll tell you when the bridge will lift them off. And the boat that you're travelling on today is fully equipped with all of the latest and up-to-date life-saving amenities. Life jackets, life rafts and buoyancy aids are on board the boat, more than enough for each and every single one of them. In the highly unlikely event of an emergency, remain calm, seated and listen to instructions given to you by a crew member. You've got no reason to worry. Just sit back, relax, enjoy your trip. On the way from Westminster to Tower Pier, there was a bit of a live commentary along the way. So we're not guides or commentators on board these boats, we are just crew, but we do like to share a bit of information onto you. Hopefully it's a bit better than the robot we have on board. I will continue with the commentary on the way down to Greenwich, but just bear in mind that there isn't quite as much to see on this next stretch of river. The points of interest get a bit few and far between, because most of the sites of interest are behind the boat now. So if you're on the top deck, if you do look behind us, you do get a lovely view of Tower Bridge and London. And you can probably see behind us lots of London's ever-changing skyline. We're now passing through the Docklands, the old port of London, so now we'll see a lot of warehouses along the way. Most of these warehouses, they used to store cargo, but now they are luxury Thameside apartments. And a nice example of this is just on your left-hand side. You can see Oliver's Wharf on the left-hand side, an old Victorian warehouse. The singer and actress Cher, she used to live in the penthouse of that building. See where the American flag is flying? That is where she used to live. She doesn't live there anymore because she got fed up with us on the boats telling you lot where she lives. She has moved a little bit further down river from here. I know where it is. I'll point it out when we go past it, don't worry. The oldest police force in the UK, coming up on the left-hand side. The River Police at Wapping were put here 30 years before the Bow Street Runners. That's our first form of land police. They were put on the river to tackle piracy when it was rife on the Thames. Before the River Thames Police, nearly 30% of ships' cargo was going missing in the Port of London. And coming up on the right hand side, you'll see a building. It has two flags out the back, a British and an American flag, and they fly outside of the Mayflower pub. The Mayflower is named after a very famous ship, and there's a replica of the ship on top of the pub as a weather vane. The Mayflower is sailed across the Atlantic from Plymouth, and on board the ship were pilgrims or Puritans that founded a settlement that they called New Plymouth on the east coast of America. They were one of the first colonies that become friends with the Native Americans, and they went on to find the first Thanksgiving. Another lovely pub on the left-hand side. Know a lot about the pubs, folks. Don't got the wrong idea about us, though. This one, it's got the 3 balconies and the wooden stairs that lead down to the river. The gold lettering at the top. It's the Grapes Pub. Charles Dickens lived there for a few years, and it's where he wrote the books Great Expectation and Our Mutual Friend. The pub now belongs to a famous actor, Ian McKellen, Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, Magneto from X-Men. He is one of the part owners of that pub today. And you have the Canary Wharf development on the left-hand side. This is London's financial district today. You can probably see a lot of the large banks have moved out here and they've got main offices on the left. Citigroup, HSBC, Barclays, JP Morgan, just to name a few. And Canary Wharf is the start of a very large, quite distinctive horseshoe bend or curve in the River Thames. You'll know the part of river that I'm talking about if you've ever watched the programme EastEnders. I don't know if anyone's seen that show. I'm sorry if you have. It's a pretty awful show, but that is the river at the beginning of the programme. And in the middle of the map there's a big horseshoe bend. One side of it there's the O2. We're the opposite side of that right now. And at the bottom of the horseshoe is our destination, that is Greenwich. So we're nearly there now. As we went into the horseshoe, we went into a stretch of river of no real particular interest. Luxury apartments, left and right, all the way up, down this bridge. So we will leave you in a little bit of peace for now, and when we're in sight of some more interesting things, one of us will pick up the microphone and we'll tell you a little bit more about Greenwich. In the meantime, if you sit tight, thank you very much for your attention so far. I'll point out some of the things that Greenwich has to offer. You've got the tall, big, three-masted ship that's sat up on the shore. That is the Cutty Sark. That used to be the fastest sailing ship in the world back when it was built. And today it is a museum up on the shore. It's in a big glass case in a stand, so you can have a look underneath, go all around the inside of the ship and up onto the deck as well. You've got the naval colleges, which is the buildings directly ahead of us with the domes on top. This is where the Navy used to be nursed and trained before they moved to Plymouth in Portsmouth. These are open grounds, and inside the naval colleges they have the painted hall. Probably the furthest away point of interest in Greenwich is just ahead to the right. Look just above the brown buildings there. You'll see a castle at the top of the hill with a red ball on top of it. That is Flamstead House, and next to Flamstead House there is a big green dome. That is the Royal Greenwich Observatory, which is where the meridian line sits. 0 degrees longitude on the world map, where east meets west. So Greenwich is quite literally the centre of the universe. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have made it. It's exciting stuff, right? If that doesn't interest you, Greenwich is just a great place to get some food, really. You've got a couple of chain restaurants at the top of the pier there. You've got an outdoor street food market opposite the Cutty Sark ship. So that's there on the weekends. You've got lots of fast food. There's about 10 pubs within 5-minute walking distance to the pier as well. You've got a pie and mash shop. That's a very traditional London dish, pie and mash. You've also got fish and chips. So there's something for everyone here in Greenwich. Whilst you decide, we'll take you into the stop. Please remain seated as we come into the pier, ladies and gents, just in case there is a slight bump. If you are getting off here, even for 5 or 10 minutes, and you'd like to come back with us, please make sure you take all of your belongings. And last of all, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a really big thank you. Thank you all very much for coming out on the river today and joining us. I hope you've enjoyed the trip, and I hope you've enjoyed a few words shared with you along the way. As we said at the start, it's probably painfully obvious, we're not professional tour guides on board these boats. We are just crew, but we like to do live commentaries. Hopefully it's a bit better than the robot we have on board. We don't get trained to do this, you see. They are done voluntary by the crew. As they are done voluntary, we have our old custom on the river where we leave a silver champagne ice bucket hanging by the exit gate. That's our old tip bucket, and if you've enjoyed or understood, you're more than welcome to throw in a couple of bob, a bit of change, banknotes, whatever you like. It'll be greatly received by us, the crew, and anything you do give is greatly appreciated, and it all really helps out with a very intense